you so much for tuning in. My name is Nikki Bessemer, and this is going to be the field journal for our trip to Dry Tortugas National Park. We are located right now in Key West, and we are getting ready to board the RV Anjari behind me. This boat is going to take us to the Dry Tortugas for about 5 days, where we will be completing climate work for the National Coral Reef Monitoring Program. Our specific work focuses on monitoring how climate impacts coral reefs in specific U.S. jurisdictions. So we go to Dry Tortugas, we go throughout the Florida Keys, Flower Garden Banks. We also go to various sites in USVI and Puerto Rico. This is one of our first trips in a little while, so we're really excited to be on board, and we hope to keep you up to date with everything that we're doing, so stay tuned. So we have 4 instruments that we're going to deploy here in Dry Tortugas National Park as part of our short-term temporal data collection. First, we have our CFET. This is going to collect measurements of pH on the reef. We then have our EcoPar, which will collect measurements of light. Last, we have our tilt meter, which will collect measurements of current. These instruments measure at intervals of every 5 minutes to help us give a good picture of what the reef is actually experiencing. Last, we have our SAS, which is a submerged automated sampler. These are going to collect samples of water at every 3 hours that we will be able to take back to the lab and collect information, all the carbonate chemistry parameters. So from there, we can take those water samples combined with all the other environmental parameters and get a really good picture of reef conditions.
So we collected a bunch of water samples down there from the last 24 hours. Every 3 hours, we got our SAS, the submersible automated samplers, to collect a 700 milliliter water sample. It collects them into these Tedlar bags, which are gas impermeable. We're going to transfer them into glass bottles using a low gas diffusion transfer pump, which is a fancy way of saying a pump that doesn't let a lot of bubbles happen. And then we'll save those until we can analyze them in the lab. What they allow us to do is get a discrete water sample. It's a one-time snapshot of what the carbonate chemistry is like on a reef to let us understand the conditions the corals are living with. By looking at a snapshot every 3 hours for 72 hours when we're all done with this, we're going to have a better idea of how over time the water chemistry on the reef is changing with tides and all the dynamic movement of the water on the reef. So it'll give us a better overall understanding of what the conditions are like here out in the Dry Tortugas.
So these are calcification accretion units that we just collected. These plates are actually analyzed by our group in the Pacific, but what they are is 2 PVC plates that are deployed for 3 years to allow calcifiers to set, and this can quantify how the reef is building at this local site. There's 5 of these at each site, and we've collected 4, so we have 1 more to do on our next dive. So these are our bioerosion monitoring units. So it's a piece of dead coral skeleton mounted to a PVC plate that have been deployed for the last 3 years. So we just deployed new ones. These are the ones we just collected. You can see some fleshy macroalgae on top, some sponges,
so
little CCA.
Yeah, we quantify the accretors on here as well, but primarily what we're looking for with these is the bioerosion aspect, which is essentially things eating away at the skeletal material, which gives us a measurement of essentially what's eroding the reefs, and between the balance of that and the accretion, we can sort of see if reefs are growing or being eroded away or in some type of balance or stasis even.
We just arrived on site at our White Shoal location. This site has a STR located at 5 meters deep that collects temperature every 5 minutes for the past 3 years. So we are here to swap out the instrument, be able to collect that data from the past 3 years. It's a little bit windy. We encountered some weather today, so we're doing some of our more shallower, easier sites, and then we will continue with our more long-term survey monitoring tomorrow. So thanks for checking in on us. Cool. So this is a subsurface temperature recorder, or STR, that we just collected from our 5 meter site. This has been down on the seafloor for 3 years, so obviously it's had some calcifiers and crust on it. So to do this, we tape it all up. Makes the cleaning process a little easier. So now I'll be able to pull all the rest of this off, and then it's ready to go to download all the data that it's been collecting for the past 3 years.
All right, so we just completed our last major STR swap of this trip. This is the submerged temperature recorder from our 25-meter site. Usually it's the one that can be a little more difficult to find, but we found it pretty quickly and super excited to be done swapping all these